Hello and welcome to the Momshious podcast. My name is Paola Sur and I'm your host. Let's talk about motherhood, anxiety, and facing our own monsters. Based on my book, The Anxious Mom Manifesto, we are going to talk about anxiety, encouraging an open conversation about mental health and motherhood. So let's get started. Hello, this is Paola Sur here. I want to talk to you about today about anxiety and motherhood. And that is the main reason why I decided to start this podcast and why I decided to tell my story in a different form because I've been trying to talk about this subject for a while. Um, at first, I want to tell you a little bit about of my story. Um, I was diagnosed with general anxiety a few years ago before I was a mom, and I didn't know what I was having. I think I had this anxiety since I was a child, but I never recognized it. I never knew that what I was feeling was anxiety or what happened to me, the experiences I had were related to anxiety. And I know a lot of people out there might feel the same and might be suffering in silence of this condition, I would like to call it. When I was little, I was a shy little girl. It was very hard for me to express my emotions. I grew up in Colombia in a Catholic family, and I was just a happy kid, but it was hard for me to make friends. It was hard for me to speak up. Uh, when I was a teenager, I started having a little bit of depression issues um, because I was bullied. I was um, feeling a little bit like I was not worth it, and I decided to put all what I was feeling in words. Um, I used to write poetry. I used to read a lot, and that's when I guess by then I was already addicted to fantasy tales and all what had to do with other worlds and fiction. But I was afraid, to say it. So a lot of a few people knew who I was. A few people knew what I liked. I was trying always to just imitate other people and try to be accepted. And that was my big fight. And I guess all of us had to deal with that when you are a teenager. Just trying to find your identity is very hard. But then I grew up. I knew I wanted to be a writer, but back then, when I decided, like, okay, I want to write books, but I didn't have the courage to tell my parents, this is what I want to do. So I thought, studying journalism was a better option. So that's what I did. I went to college and studied journalism. And I knew I love it and I learned a lot, and it helped me with my writing and it helped me with all the other things. But uh, ultimately I was not feeling fulfilled, and I think that was a big, big problem. And I was already having this some, red flags about um, mental health issues. For example, I suffer insomnia um, for a long time. Also, I had dizziness spells. I had, I was feeling many times that like the world that I was in was not real, like kind of like depersonalization. Uh, I was not feeling like I fit in with any of my like surroundings. Uh, I was feeling, of course, comfortable with my family. I love my family, and my family love me, and they are my greatest motivation. And I'm so grateful for all the years that I spent living with my family. I guess at certain point I had to escape from all of that also because I had this very unhealthy relationship, romantic relationship I was in, and I needed to break from that. So I decided to leave to United States. You know, I wanted to study English just for a few months and probably come back. But little did I know, I end up staying here. I came to Atlanta first, and you know, destiny sometimes have ways of telling us, you know, it's not your plan. Sometimes the universe has a different plan, and well, I end up finding a job that offered me all the legal documents to stay in the country. So I decided to stay. And, you know, I met uh, a guy who ended up being my husband. And that was a very surprising event in my life, you know. And we keep being strong after like almost 20 years together because we met, we were friends, and then we started uh, our relationship, and then you know after a few years we also lived together, we traveled together, and then one day we decided to get married, and this is how my life developed a bit. But it was hard for me to leave my country, leave everything behind, and at the same time I was having these anxiety issues that I didn't know it was anxiety. I had these dizziness spells that, you know, it was from time to time. They were coming, then they were disappearing, and uh, I just didn't pay attention. The same thing with insomnia, um, until one day one thing happened. And I guess if you are listening to this podcast and you know about anxiety, I'm going to talk about the big issue that almost all the people that suffer from anxiety have at some point. It's called the panic attack or the anxiety attack, but most likely, like most for me, was like a panic attack. A panic attack is different for everybody, and it's very hard to explain. But I will try to, and this is at least how it feels for me. I my hands start sweating. I start kind of like shaking, trembling. I feel weak, dizzy. Then my heart starts racing for like out of nowhere, out of the blue. I feel like I cannot breathe. Then sometimes my chest hurt, or I start getting numb. And it's a very scary sensation. It's a very scary feeling. And I know that if you had one of those, I know how terrifying it is. I know how uh, I compare that to like having a monster inside of you that is raging, is trying to take control of you, and you cannot, you don't know how to stop it. It's kind of like makes you sometimes you feel you're going to die, and it's like that. For the people that have no idea what a panic attack is, and I know for you guys might be like, "What? How can a person feel like she is gonna die? This is like insane." But it is not insane. You feel like that. You feel like you're gonna die. You feel all the physical symptoms, and it's just very hard to control them. And it's that monster coming for you. Eventually, of course, all the sensations and all the things subside, and you start regaining control. But in the moment, it's very scary. So these things started to happen to me. more often. And well, a lot of series of events happen, which I will explain in my book that is coming out in a couple of months, and that you can actually pre-order now if you want to. Um, but I'm not here for that. I want to tell you my story and why I came to doing this podcast. Um, so a series of events happened in my life, and from time to time, I felt like that monster disappeared, but uh, then it came back. It came back out of the blue, and um, I was like spiraling out of control. So I started having therapy. I had all these. I had medication. I had um, all the sorts of things that you read in books, how to control your anxiety. After I was diagnosed, of course, because with all these panic attacks, then it was finally one doctor who told me, listen, you have nothing physical. What is happening to you is that you have anxiety. You need other kind of like approach if you need to control this. So that's when I started therapy and taking medication and doing all these techniques, and it helped me for a while. Then I became a mom, and motherhood brings a lot of beautiful, beautiful things, but at the same time, it is hard. It is very hard to be a mom. And it's like I cannot uh, explain how much I love my kids, how much I love being a mom. But it's also, I have to acknowledge that it's a very, very hard thing to do. I don't blame women that really feel in themselves that they don't want to become mothers. It's not for everybody. Um, no shame in that. It's a very hard thing to do, um, and you have to leave a lot of you behind uh, for a certain time at least. So what happened to me was like, okay, I became a mom, and then anxiety was something that was preventing me from enjoying my motherhood experience to the fullest. And one day, of course, I had this huge panic attack in front of my kids, and that's when I kind of decided, like, listen, I need to do something. I need to find a way to tame this monster. So that was the day I named the monster. I called him Trigarian because it's something that triggers me. It's a monster that comes from any trigger. So that was one thing I did. Second, I decided to be very open about this because never I read about motherhood and anxiety before, and I was thinking, you know what? I just need to talk about these subjects, and I created a blog called Momshus, and I started talking about what I was feeling. Like sometimes, I had anxiety made me sometimes so numb that I didn't want to do anything. I just want to lie down. I was in a dark, dark space. Or sometimes um, when I was driving my kids to school, I couldn't drive. I started feeling scared of driving, scared of even going over bridges and stuff like that. That um, for some people it might be insane, but honestly, it's um, it's something that a lot of mothers go through. And when I started talking about it and writing about it, I got a huge response from a lot of moms that were writing me, listen, this is how I feel. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for for letting me know that I'm not alone. Thank you for talking about this. And I was so surprised. I was like, but hold on, why nobody talks about this? Why nobody uh, is saying this out loud? And it infuriated me because you know what? Motherhood has this perfection image that, like, you need to be perfect, you need to be this creature, sort of angelic, that has to get together everything on time and has to be well put together and has to it's a lot of competition between mothers, and it's a crazy thing, and for a mom with anxiety, all of that, it's just an incredible heavy burden. And I decided this needs to stop. This has to stop. And it became kind of my biggest motivation. I'm like, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna create awareness. I'm gonna find ways to cope, and I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna tame this monster. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot of lessons. I learned a lot of things in the road. And that's what I want to keep talking in this podcast. But this first episode, I wanted you to get familiar with my story. I want to tell you that if you are going through this, if you are an anxious mom, you are not alone. I have to tell you that yes, you will have to fight this on your own because nobody is going to rescue you. But you are not alone. There are resources out there. There are people out there that can help you. There are methods. There are many things that I want to teach in this podcast and with my content all around. um, there are things that you can do, uh, and I want you to know that you have that power inside you. I want you to know that this monster can be tamed, and actually it can become your biggest teacher. You can turn him into a master, and you will master this master. You can do it. I am proof of that. And right now, just you need to know that you have the power in you. You are stronger than you believe you are. um, what I did is I developed 18 sentences and mantras, and you can find them all around in my social media, and you can use them. I want to give them to you, um, and they can motivate you to get better each day. uh, you're gonna be able to control this. You need to know that not what works for you might work for another person or vice versa, but you will find your own tools. You will find your own ways that anxiety is not gonna control your life. um, I'm gonna try to get some uh, guests here in this podcast in the future, people that can explain further, or in medical terms, or in psychiatric terms, or people that have experienced um, anxiety, so we can just talk about the subject and help each other, because that's what moms are supposed to be doing, just supporting each other. And this is why I am here. I was very hesitant of doing this podcast because I have no idea about this. And I promise you it's gonna get better. I'm gonna get better at this. I just wanna put it out there for you, uh, to inspire you, to tell you I'm here. I'm your friend. I'm that mom in the mom tribe that will understand you, what you are going through. that will not give up on you. So um, now to finish, because I've been talking too much, I have this deck of cards with my, sentences from all my books, even from my fantasy books. Um, so what I'm doing here is I'm gonna get one of these cards to see what the sentence for the day will be, and that will be my thing to leave you in this first episode called "My Story of Anxiety" and how you can use my story to heal or to start helping you to heal yourself. So here it is, this sentence. And I think, yes, it's a sentence from my upcoming book, The Anxious Mom Manifesto. Again, it's something that is coming out very, very soon. So it says this: we can't see the light while searching it outside. We need to ignite the fire inside of us to create it and be guided by it. So there you have it. The sentence of the day, the episode of the day. I will try to record something every Thursday, and hopefully I will have guests in the future. I will start collecting material and things that I can give you. I'm gonna teach you my methods. So just stay tuned. Keep being strong. I love you. Thanks for listening. And I wish you all the best and all happiness, all calmness. And we're not gonna let this monster defeat us, okay? I promise you. I'm here. Goodbye. See you next time.